Shut up, Evan. Shut up, Evan. And shut up, Evan!
That felt like a masterclass.
Do you know what I felt like Catherine O'Hara?
Wow. Oh, yeah. At the airport.
Because we watched that the other day.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of people and how they would talk.
It was evocative. Thank you.
Sorry. And then I was like, I'm taking too long. Go again. Do it again real quick.
I'm Evan Ross Katz from Shut Up, Evan.
We don't say shut up in our household.
But you say fuck a lot.
In my household, yes.
Okay, but is fuck allowed in the household?
Yes.
Okay, but not shut up.
Not shut up.
So this is a very antithetical framework for you to exist in right now. I apologize. So maybe we alleviate the shut up Evan, it's just this is Evan, and you're Amanda.
In my household, recently I've been hearing, fuck you, from my son. And I'm between he's using it in the right context, and then part of me's like, fuck you!
Is it being directed at you?
Yes!
Oh, wow, that's intense.
But he doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it. I just think it's funny that we're like, you can't say shut up. You do not tell somebody to shut up.
Yes.
But he's saying fuck you, and I'm not giving him the same kind of disciplinary response with the fuck you of it. So it's interesting. I'm in a teaching, learning spot right now.
If you had said fuck you to your parents, would that have elicited a reaction?
I would have been sent upstairs for a long time.
Which ties into this film in a sense, because people are sent upstairs for a long time. But before we get to that, you saw what I did?
Wow, thank you for throwing that.
It had to be thrown, but then you had to get it in the net. I want to start by asking how your Thanksgiving was. It's Monday morning at 9 a.m., the weekend after Thanksgiving. This is a notoriously lazy sort of week, I guess really month, as we sort of transition from Thanksgiving into the quote-unquote holiday season. But how was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was totally unremarkable in the best way. I did the early Christmas tree thing, which I've never done before. We did the tree yesterday. And because I'm kind of gone a lot. But Thanksgiving was fine. How was yours?
Mine was good. I went upstate.
Where?
I went to a town called Long Eddy. I don't think it's anywhere near where you are. It's do you know Callicoon?
It's in the
Upper
Catskills.
Delaware. Yeah. So I went up there, town of 200.
Did you cook?
Are you familiar with Round Swamp in East Hampton?
No.
There's this place called Round Swamp. But we got all of the food from there and transported.
That's a long ride with a lot of food.
Yeah. Thank God for coolers.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it was lovely. I also want to ask you about your relationship with being interviewed. I've been doing a lot of these junkets lately and talking to actors about not just interviews, but sort of the state of press in general, because I think it's changed a lot, and you've been doing this for over 2 decades now. What is your relationship like to being interviewed right now?
It's changed a lot, and it hasn't changed at all. How does that happen? I am a curious person, so I respond well to people being curious about me, and I think the lack of give and take is a little bit unnatural, but I also understand that we're in the business of getting information. But I think it's crazy that the junket style is still pretty much unchanged, in that tomorrow for 5 hours, with maybe a little bit of a break, I will be being interviewed with so many people, but they only get 4 minutes. So it feels like you can't really scratch the surface with anything except kind of generic questions. And I always, so I grew up, and I still am this, and this is many people, where I really am desperate for everybody else to be comfortable, even though it's really not my business. It's not my responsibility to make other people comfortable, but I still have that sensitivity. So I just want to give you what you want, and which is why in my career I've been slightly unfiltered and impulsive with the things that I've said, and shucks, but I also I'm a people pleaser, so it was to my detriment for sure. But now I'm pretty balanced with it. It's a long answer to say that like I have a pretty good relationship with interviews.
But are you attuned to the fact that the unfiltered nature in which you've spoken throughout your career has really endeared many people to you, and I think actually gives audiences a deeper connection with you? So like there has to be some sense, or maybe there isn't, but a sense of like, by being my natural self, by being who I am and not performing the act of actor being interviewed, I've actually been able to connect with people.
Totally, but there's a middle ground, and I think that things taken out of context can really make you seem like an idiot. And I feel like more than I would have liked. I think I'd been taken out of context. But yes, for the most part, I feel like it has endeared people. I think there's a middle ground where I can be, I'm never not going to be myself. What is that? A performance, right? I do enough of that in my work-ish. I mean, you always see me in my roles in some way, in some percentage. But it's also just like, there's a direct line when you are you and that person is them and you're just living in the moment. It's really interesting to me, and yes, it is. But that being real, being authentic, is what's endearing. It's not necessarily the unfiltered nature, though that can help. So I think unfiltered could also kind of feel like, oh, that she's just being authentic, but it's really like there's a time and a place for being unfiltered. Like I'm probably gonna air my dirty laundry a little less now that I'm turning 40 and a parent. I think that's changed. Yeah. So I think sometimes before I speak.
Which I've heard is useful. Can I ask about your relationship with pull quote culture? Because, for instance, on this recent round of press, you've been asked quite a few times about Mamma Mia 3, and all of a sudden, no matter if you do an hour-long conversation, the headline becomes...
Correct.
Mamma Mia 3.
Yes.
Is it happening? How do you feel about that when sort of you see something that was, a bite within a much larger meal become the centerpiece?
I feel like if you're a journalist, you've seen me answer it, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, you're not going to get anything different. So it's like, let's talk about something that you might get that's different. I just feel like it's a time waster.
I'm just very fascinated by it because I think it must be strange when you feel like you've said so much and you see this one piece of it extracted that, as you said, has already been said, but I think there's a temptation, and I think it's low-hanging fruit, where, obviously Mamma Mia 3 has SEO value, right? It's going to get the headline, and so people are like, I'm going to go for that low-hanging fruit as opposed to asking something more substantive.
I see that fruit, and I see them grab it, and the broken part of me wants to give them something new. But there's literally nothing I can say short of a lie, which is like, we're in production, which is a lie. But also, it's funny. I mean, are they asking Stellan that? Because he's on the junket scene right now.
Right. I don't know. We'll have to find out. I'm curious. Let's talk about this film. I went and saw this in theaters with a theater full of people that were having outsized reactions to this film.
Were they told to have outside reactions?
Not to my knowledge. Okay. And this, paired with Weapons, were two experiences that I had this year that I felt really instigated the idea that going to see movies in theaters is necessary. And I've been thinking about the three art forms of like theater, film, and television, right? Theater, it's like it only happens in the room that one time. Television, it comes into your home, right? It comes to you. And with film, it's this communal experience that you can have in a dark room with others. And I think all three are really valuable. And I'm wondering what it's like for you to know that this film is something that is giving people that experience of community.
Like I'm doing the Testament of Ann Lee. I'm talking about it. When you say in this movie, I have to remember which movie I'm talking about, and that's the biggest blessing that I can tell you in my career. This is the best moment I've ever had. I know how unique this experience is. I know that we don't go to the theater very often, but like, this is the movie. If you're gonna go and trek to the theater, this is that experience that you want. This is that nostalgia. This is that abandon that you want as an audience. And I'm telling you, when I saw it for the first time, it wasn't even done. That Taylor Swift song came on at the end, and it was like, it was the full package. It was like the full experience. I screamed because it was thrilling. And then Taylor Swift is saying, yeah, bitch. Yeah, we fucking got him together. Because Taylor Swift brings people together. Yeah. She brings me together with my daughter and her friends and my girlfriends and like in their 40s and 30s and 20s.
I think what's also fun about this film is that I went in, I had read the book before.
Oh.
But I was not aware how sadistic the film adaptation was going to be. What's fun is watching the audience in real time watch that transition happen from what I believe is sort of like psychological thriller into what is, I think, a subgenre within that, which is female revenge.
The twists are very delicately dealt with, and Paul Feig he's sadistic. Like he's the sweetest man. He's very smart, but he can get dark. And I think with a different director, I don't know if we would have this kind of true joy by the end.
And I think that permeates the audience experience as well, because knowing that Paul directed this film gave me a comfort in terms of my ability to sit back and know that I was going to be taken care of.
I just want you to know that the teeth wasn't in the original script that I read. That moment with the teeth is, I can't even look. I can't even watch. I shot the movie. I was in the movie. I can't even watch. That movie took me away. Yeah. That movie destroyed me and put me back together, and I was in it.
Is that a feeling you've had before in watching a piece of work that you're a part of?
It's rarely, yeah, very rarely.
Let me ask you about the character of Nina Winchester. Winchester, not Chester, right? Chister.
It's spelled Chester.
It is spelled Chester. Okay, Nina Winchester.
It's not even her real name anyway.
Fair. So there's a version of the role that you could play where you could play her crazy, right? That she is this crazy person, and then over time you start to learn more about her. But I think part of what you bring to this role is that you're aware that there's more to her. And I think that's what makes you particularly great in this role, and what keeps you with Nina rather than thinking, just sort of casting her aside as the crazy wife. And I'm wondering if that's something that you had a consciousness around, or sort of how you bring that to Nina and not make her a 2D character.
I think it was written in a way that it gave me so many options. It was, I did think, oh God, what am I gonna do? I'm playing a character who's playing a character.
Right.
Basically, Nina in real life is not crazy. She's incredibly traumatized. But she's on the other end of it. She's got all the balls back. She's got everything in the palm of her hand, and I wanted you to feel the empowerment that she had. I wanted you to feel the brokenness that was like kind of getting filled, in that she had blind spots about Millie, like leaving Millie. Her daughter was like, "Why are we leaving her? What the fuck?" She has blind spots. She just wants to get out. She just wants to survive. And I wanted to show, like, that's real, but in order to earn that, you have to feel like this woman is on the edge and unpredictable. One of the scariest things for me about human beings is when they are unpredictable. When you're not sure who you're gonna get each day. Like, that terrifies me. That is psychological trauma. Whether they know they're doing that or not, it's terrifying to me. Like. You know, there's a lot of different personality disorders and different mental illnesses that cause that kind of disconnect or, you know, unpredictability. But that was like, that's what's scary. And so I'm going to play that because she's going to be one or the other, never at the same time. And I don't know. It was written. Gotta say, there was it was all there. It was a meal for me. I read the script and I was like, I feel bad for the other two. Mm-hmm. They don't get to do this shit. This is like the role. And I had the best time.
So you mentioned The Testament of Anne Lee earlier, and we're here today talking about The Housemaid. And so it made me curious sort of to hear about your selection process in terms of how you decide on the roles that you're interested in pursuing.
Oh, it's mostly about director. And the story. If is interesting, and the role is someone that I think would challenge me, or someone I don't think I can access, or someone I can access, but through a new method or with a new lens, then I'll take it. It's great. I mean, these both were handed to me. I didn't have to audition for them. And my agent was like, Paul Feig, The Housemaid, great IP, huge selling book, like every year on the bestseller list for 3 years, whatever. Sydney Sweeney, New Jersey. And I was like, I don't even need to read it. Take it. And I did. I read it. And then I was like, you got to bring the teeth back in. But no notes.
Just the one.
Yeah. And then with Mona, Mona was like, will you play this role? And I was like, I don't think I can. I actually was like, don't you think Olivia Cooke would be maybe better suited for this? And she was like, she's like, sure, but I want you. Do you think, I'm offering it to you, like, this is for you. I was like, well, I mean, are you sure I'm not too old? I mean, are you sure? Because I'm kind of American. Are you sure, like, you could see me in that? Like, I had a lot of questions about it because I was scared, because it's terrifying, and that's why I took it.
Because you like to be terrified.
Yeah, because otherwise, there's no hill to climb. Or mountain.
Hill, mountain.
Big hill. I gotta climb it.
You talked about the New Jersey. You live upstate, and I imagine in addition to wanting great scripts and great directors, as you mentioned, there's a practicality to the projects that you sign on to in terms of how long are they taking me away from home? And so I'm wondering how much of a consideration is that in terms of the decision process of what roles you pursue?
It's massive. If the project is gonna go shoot in Budapest like Ann Lee, it's gotta be a life-changing project, and it was. It was absolutely life-affirming. It was, it really took me off my game in a lot of ways, in fruitful ways. If it's gonna be outside of the country, it's gotta be really in a perfect state for me to do it. Otherwise, I'm just not right now. And so many of my friends live far away from airports, and they're like, that's the give and take. You have an amazing life filled with nature, and you get to come home and feel more grounded than you could possibly feel in a city, yet the commute to JFK is 3 hours. And that's okay, because I'm making it work.
I am fascinated by upstate living, and I moved upstate during COVID for a period of time and really just fell in love with it. And, you talk about the nature, and I surely know that is an appeal. Another appeal I find about upstate life, or just sort of like living outside of big cities, is locals in these places. And, we talked about the community that is, involved in seeing a movie in a theater together. I think there's also a specialness around the communities in these quote unquote small towns. And so again, like, I know you've got the nature, you've got the animals, we all understand the appeal of that. I think many of us do. But can you talk about the appeal of just being around non-Hollywood folks? It's
funny, there are a lot of Hollywood folks up there. Can't get away from them. But it's okay, because there's a certain frequency with which we communicate, and in that frequency could be used in two ways. Not like frequent, like a lot, but like this frequency, like a radio wave that we can communicate on, and that we operate on just based on schedules and what art can mean, like freelancing or being incredibly busy and not being. It's just a different kind of wavelength that feels really familiar and familial to me when I'm up there. A lot of writers, producers, directors, like I'm surrounded by them all the time, and my kids go to school with their kids, and so that's the community. I mean, I spent Saturday at a Christmas market at the old Dutch church in Kingston, and like I just ran into a director friend of mine. We ran into our friends. I mean, some of them have like real like medical job, like not real. I'm not saying we all have real jobs, but like some of them are in the medical field, some of them are musicians, a lot of them are writers and journalists, and it's just funny. Like we all actually kind of are. We all kind of do everything, and yet we live with the same like the groundedness of the nature. So it's like we're all kind of more sane. You know, community comes in the choices that you make, the shared choices too, and that just feels so safe. And you know, I go. I don't know. It was just like we had the Woodstock Film Festival, and like for Ann Lee, and my husband had a movie the night after premiere there too in the same place, and everybody showed up for both nights, and it was like a theater full of people we knew. Like our lives are there now.
I read and watched a lot of the interviews you've done over the last decade, and interviewers are so often fascinated by this decision to move upstate and quote unquote leave Hollywood behind. What's interesting, though, is that is a path that many actors have taken for many decades. Are you ever surprised or interested in what the fascination is with the idea that actors could live outside of Hollywood?
Yeah, yeah, it is surprising to me that it's still surprising.
I find the approach that interviews often take with you when talking about upstate, it's as though you live in like the most like rural like place where you're like, you know, pumping water out of a well every morning. They make it seem like you're like off the grid.
Yeah. It's true that rural equals off the grid to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the natural evolution of someone in the public eye wanting to be surrounded by birds instead of people. Right?
I get it.
Also, during the pandemic, there was still toilet paper left where I live. I don't think there was in the city. More people, more chaos.
I understand.
Humans are very strange, especially in crisis. And they're unpredictable. Like I said, the unpredictable nature of certain people is very terrifying to me.
When you make the drive from upstate into the city, do you ever feel like a moment when you kind of start to feel all the people, right? I feel this way when I come home now, where I'm like, the second there's a certain exit I pass or something, when I just start to feel this shift and I'm like, oh, I'm back to the grind.
I don't feel that.
You don't?
No.
How do I get there?
You gotta keep doing it. It's just muscle memory. I think it's beautiful because you're present. I think it's fine. I don't think you need to get where I am. I just think I used to have that, but I just don't anymore. I mean, I'm in the car all the time. I go to JFK, I mean, at this point, like once or twice a week. I think you don't have to get there. It's fine. You just, knowing both in your body is great. I get excited. I'm like, ooh, I'm in my apartment now and I can go to Zabar's. Ooh, I have someone to help me with my box. Ooh, I can walk to anywhere and get anything. It's so wonderful. I love it. What a novelty the city is now for me.
What are you listening to on that car ride?
Interesting. Well, Aubrey Hobart, obviously, because my assistant is in her 20s. She gives me all the music. You know, last week I listened to an old Celine Dion album to fall asleep to because I lay in the back of an SUV because it's the only way I can be in a car because I get car sick. So I have to lay down. I have a bed made all the time. Privilege, I understand. I listened to the entire Celine Dion album on repeat because I'd fallen asleep. So I kept waking up to She'll Never Get Old. You know, Gregory Alan Isakov was always as per usual. A lot of Brandi Carlile. Her new album is incredible. I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit played out of the new TS album.
Are you a podcast girly?
No.
Not at all?
Not anymore.
I understand.
I used to be like crime junkie, but I do Audible books. So I'm listening to a book by Clara Massoud, who just interviewed me for Vogue last week, and I was like, "You're a novelist? What are your novels?" So now I listen to everything.
Isn't that a fun aspect of the job that you get to do?
I love it. I meet novelists all the time. I'm in awe of novelists. I love novels. I love memoirs. I love everything. I just recently listened to Jessica Simpson's memoir, A Little Too Late.
Fantastic.
I loved it so much I reached out to her because I appreciate her so very much. I really, really, really think that book is for an entire generation of women, especially. I truly appreciate her.
Celebrity memoir is definitely my favorite genre of book by a mile. And when you read a really good one, Demi Moore also has a really
I
good
loved her
one.
book.
Yeah, when you read a great one, it really can reframe your understanding of what happened to a person.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
So we're kind of around this, like, we understood Demi Moore when she was with Bruce Willis.
Yes.
It was powerful. I really like her too. I just like her. She's a very nice person.
I want to ask you about legacy because I'm really fascinated by actors who sort of have a legacy role. And I'm thinking about like Sarah Michelle Gellar with Buffy or Sarah Jessica Parker with Sex and the City. And you have one with Mean Girls. I just think it's so unique to have an event that happens in your life that you're constantly being asked about and having to, find a new memory from to share or something. What is your relationship like to the idea of like a legacy role and how that takes shape?
My relationship to it is that I had nothing to do with it. But then I realized I did have something to do with it. But, I mean, for me, my relationship to Mean Girls itself, I was just picked from a giant crowd of actors and, brought to this legacy. Like, I am the luckiest person in the world to have gotten that opportunity. Because not only did I get to be in a hit movie, a cult classic, a movie that really like made girls feel seen, parents. I mean, it was a game changer, culturally, and I had nothing to do with any of it except I got to play Karen, but also the fact that I got to play a role where I could actually show my range, my skill. Like I felt like I had skill. A skill that was being utilized in a way that, I mean, it doesn't that was my first movie. It just doesn't happen like that for most people. Mm-hmm. So it changed my life. And I'm so proud of it, and I will never stop wanting to celebrate how fucking genius that movie is and how much it changed my life. I mean, I love going back to that. I love the fact that Mona's daughter showed my daughter Mean Girls for the first time while we were together in Zurich. Like, the memory keeps, it's beautiful. It's very rare. I'm very appreciative of it. And I love that it's a movie that makes fun of the bully.
It sure does.
We should always be making fun of the bully.
We should. I'm always interested in, like, the moment after the Big Bang, if you will. And so I'm wondering about that period between Mean Girls and Mamma Mia and the kind of opportunities that were being floated your way and what that period was like immediately following the massive success of Mean Girls. I feel like this is a part of the timeline that I don't have a lot of clarity around.
Here's the thing. After Mean Girls, I went straight to work. I went to pilot season. My God, I had a map. It was paper, and I had a Honda Civic, and I used that Honda Civic with my map, and I would drive to 5 auditions a day some days. Some days there were 3. 5 auditions a day. I would go from Venice. I would go to Mary Verneau in Venice, or wherever she was, in the beach. And then I would go to Warner Brothers, which is in the Valley. And then I would go down to Culver City. And then I would go back over to, like, Paramount. I'm telling you, I knew all the studios based on pilot season for 2 months. Not even 2 months, a month. And I booked 2 pilots that season. So it's like my skill, I was being proven that I had a skill and a work ethic. I would memorize so many sides for all these auditions. It was insane. It was the first time I ever worked that hard in my life, but I loved it because I was acting in a room with people. I was like it was a competitive and I pumped my own gas, and I had such freedom because I was living there with my boyfriend and our friend in Venice on Brooks Avenue in Venice Beach, which is not the best place to live when you're 18 years old, but at least I had these 2 guys with me. It was magical. It was magical. And then I booked Big Love, which was a contract role for 10 or 11 episodes on HBO, which is huge for me, and it made a lot of friends to this day. And then I booked Veronica Mars, where I auditioned for Veronica Mars, but I got Lily Kane, who ended up being a really cult figure in that. And I had a lot of fun. So I was going back and forth from San Diego to Santa Clarita and just working and making money. I mean, it was, I had the time of my life. And then I was still auditioning, and I was auditioning for this and that. I don't remember what I was auditioning for. I did like little movies like American Gun and 9 Lives with Rodrigo Garcia, who directed the pilot of Big Love, who's fucking genius, and who texted me today, Minch. He has like a follow-up, he has like a new script. I'll do anything for that man. And like, he gave me this amazing role in 9 Lives with Sissy Spacek. Like, what? And Ian McShane, what? And I did a lot of cool stuff, a lot of independent movies. I did Alpha Dog. I was hanging out with Justin Timberlake back when he was bringing sexy back, and he was amazing in that. And my God, like so many incredible. Anton Yelchin was in that, and Amber Heard. It was like her first role, and we were, and Dominique Swain, and we were in Palm Springs, like I had no business doing, partying that much. But my God, I lived fully between Mean Girls and Mamma Mia. I'll tell you, I had fun. I had a lot of fun. And I just worked my ass off.
Thank you for invoking Veronica Mars in this interview.
Classic.
Do you remember if there was a specific instance or over time when you started to realize that the work of acting and fame were not one and the same, but were, in fact, a Venn diagram?
I don't remember exactly, but I remember being very deliberate and understanding that if I wanted to play the long game, that I needed my choices to be more specific. I needed to know what category I wanted to be in, which is the category of a Sissy Spacek or Sigourney Weaver, or like whoever I was, like Sally Field. Like I knew I had the work ethic. I knew I loved working. I knew I was good at it. I knew that it filled me to the the brim. And I also knew that what fame could be very unhealthy, because fame could make you feel alienated. Fame could make you feel insecure. Fame could separate you from your friends, and it could change the shape of your life and what your freedom is. And I knew that. I knew that because I saw what it was for Lindsay when we were doing Mean Girls, and when Mean Girls came out, it's like it's too much pressure. It was too much pressure. And I feel nobody deserves that kind of scrutiny. Nobody. Even if you make we're all making bad choices. We're fucking 17, 18, 19, 25, 30.
Well, this connects back to the Jessica Simpson book of it all, right, and the opportunity. I think that there's been this reassessment of the way culturally, and I think it began with the media, but it sort of seeped down to a lot of people's systems of how they think about these things, where it was like they see someone doing something perfectly normal, the behavior of a 17-year-old, and there's a judgment that gets cast that was just sort of innate to how the paradox of fame at that time, which I think has changed. Do you feel it's changed?
I think it's changed. I think there's more control in social media and having your own means of communicating with the public.
Yeah.
I think we're more aware of what we did as a culture to destroy these people. I think we know that. We understand the psychology a little better. I think we care a little bit more. As a from a journalistic point, I feel like people care, and people are being more responsible. You remember when Perez Hilton was really mean? I think we know that we can't do that anymore. We can't bash people. And I think he knew that too. He learned probably a giant lesson. I don't know him, but I saw the shift that happened, and I appreciated that shift. I think tearing people down is obviously so toxic, and so like it's our, as a cultural, like kind of our responsibility to try to not do that.
You recently talked about staying true to who you are in this industry, and you said, quote, "And I'm nice. I'm fucking nice." Is being nice a choice, or it's something that just comes naturally?
It's a fucking choice. It's a choice. I mean, sometimes people need to be nice in order to feel comfortable and safe, and that's partly me too. But I do feel like I feel like if you want to feel good, and you want to, every place to feel safe. Maybe it is selfish, but I think it's absolutely a choice. And you know, like Sydney too, she's so nice. And it's like, it can go so far. Like, we all have different ways of operating in the world. We all have different thoughts and feelings about things. And yet, if we're nice, we can at least nice to each other, at least give space to each other to feel how we feel. It goes a long way in making it easier for everybody to operate and get what they need. Because when we're working or not working, it's just like, it makes life just easier for everybody, for yourself, for everybody. And sometimes not being nice comes from a mental illness or some kind of personality disorder, and those are categories over here. Sometimes it's just that you're tired and you're a dick. But when I'm tired, I'm still nice. Like, just there are dicks and there are nice people. I don't think there's a middle ground. Doesn't mean I can't have a bad day and be like in a bad mood, but I'm not gonna put my bad mood on somebody else. It's just not worth it. It's not fucking worth it, and it pisses me off. It really pisses me off that, like, I know my peers because people talk, and I will make a prejudgment about somebody. I know which ones of my peers are nice or rude, and treat people differently depending on what their job is. Like, I know the people who are dicks and who aren't dicks. And so ugh. Damn it. Damn you.
What a nice note to end on. Amanda, thank you.
Sorry. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it.